Welcome back to the Road to a Million podcast. I'm with Steve Brooks, the owner of TNT Glass Window Tinting today, and he's based out of Denver, North Carolina. Steve's been doing this since 2008, so he's got a lot of years of experience under his belt. And today we're going to talk about how his business has changed, going all the way back to when he started to present day here in 2025. Hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget you can use the timestamps in the description to skip ahead. And without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, today I'm with Steve Brooks, owner of TNT Glass Tinting. Steve, thanks for coming on the podcast, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Of course, I saw your website as it was one of the Detailer's Roadmap partner sites. That's kind of how I found you guys. Chris and his team, they did a really good job of designing your site. How long ago did you guys have that site updated?
I would say it's probably been about 6 months or so.
Because it's their new build, right?
Yeah. It was. I think we were the first one with that new platform, Python. I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw it, and I kind of like new stuff, so I was like, all right, let's try it. Chris was cool about it, and it's funny because we signed up with Detailer's Roadmap, and then we went to the Autobahn conference, and we were sitting at the table for dinner. And I didn't know, I never met Chris. I didn't even see him. I didn't know who he was. And then we were sitting at a table together randomly. And then we started talking and introduced ourselves. And randomly enough, I'm like, oh, I just signed up with Detailer's Roadmap. And he's like, oh, that's my company. So it was like a perfect random scenario where it matched up perfectly. So
wow,
super happy with those guys.
Yeah. How has it been since the site got redone?
Everything's been good. We noticed a uptick in leads. It's just really nice having a nice website like that you can trust. That's gonna attract customers and not have them like questioning like, is this site, legit, or they can see the quality in the site, which goes back to our work as far as what kind of work that we put out.
Yeah.
High quality work. So, but their follow-up, their communication, is great. They respond really fast. They're super responsive. The way you can edit your site is really easy. You don't have to call anybody. You can just log on to the back end, say, hey, I want to change this. And then they send you an email confirmation when it's done. So, very happy with them.
Mm-hmm. Who were you using before? Or were you doing it yourself?
A mixture. So the original company that made it was AP Media, Absolute Perfection, which is Bill Valloway, I think his name is, in Maryland. He runs a pretty large tint business, and they started doing some media stuff. They built the site, then they stopped doing the media side of it, I think. Then they turned it over to the guy that they recommend. Then it started piecework from there. I thought it was okay, but then started looking at it. I'm like, this thing is just all over the place. Like, it needed a total revamp. It was so unorganized. We just kept adding like, oh, let's add this and put it here because I think it looked cool. But then you start looking at it from your phone, or, it just had stuff all over. So that's when we started researching who we were going to use, and reached out to a couple other ones, and just had a good conversation with Detailer's Roadmap. I think Patrick was his name, was the guy that kind of gets you on board and talking about it. He's amazing, like him too. So that's kind of how that started.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So tell me, how did you get started with TNT? Because you guys have been doing this for what, like 17 years?
About 15 years, yep.
Since 2008?
Yep, we started it in 2008. I guess you're right, about 17 years, 16, 17 years. So originally, TNT, we used to just do auto glass replacement and repair. I did that for 6 years or so, like 2002 to 2008. And then 2008, 2009, kind of got bored with auto glass. It's not that fun. It's not that cool. Took a training class at Lumar, which is about 2 hours from us here in North Carolina. They're in Virginia. So I took a 2 or 3 day training class for auto tinting, and then that's how we started tinting. So, and then of course, you know, you don't learn it in 2 days, but that was a good kind of base to get going. And then reached out to some people on Tint Dude. I don't know if you're familiar with Tint Dude, but it was
Nope.
a big, it's not probably any popular anymore with all the Facebook groups, but it was basically before all the Facebook groups, that was your resource for tinting. Went on there every day trying to read, study, educate myself on tinting, what products, you know, ceramic films, metallized films, dyed films, and just kind of learned as we went. So,
Hmm. So it started out as auto repair or automotive glass repair, and then it got into automotive tinting.
yeah, yeah.
And then now you guys offer paint protection film, ceramic coatings, and then you do a little bit of commercial work as well, right?
So we started off with automotive tinting, then flat glass stuff. We've always done flat glass since maybe a year or two into automotive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then we introduced PPF probably in 2012, 13, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
Took a training class at Star Shield Solutions, which is a 3M, I guess, dealer. I don't know what you want to call it, a distributor of 3M.
Okay.
They were local in Charlotte, which was nice. I didn't want to travel anywhere. So took a training class there. Kind of the same idea, you know, just get your hands, feet wet, and then learn as you go. And then, so that was 2012. And then coatings, we probably introduced in 2017, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Just because coating started to really get popular around then. Everybody that was doing PPF started asking for coatings. Do you do that? And before we were just kind of working with a local detail shop, and it just didn't make sense to keep referring stuff back and forth. And so we just brought it in with us. So
What was the biggest differences between window tint and introducing paint protection film? I know that right before we hopped on the podcast, you guys were doing a training session with some of the guys.
yeah,
Um, and from what I've heard, I think this is true with window tinting and PPF, but especially PPF is like just reps. Like there's always something new you're learning, and it's really important to
yeah,
like get those reps.
yeah. Um, you know, the biggest difference. I mean, auto tinting's hard too. I mean, they're both they're both hard. Like in you have to have the right mindset going into being an automotive tinter or a paint protection film installer, because if you're doing this kind of stuff or detailing, you're kind of a perfectionist, and the only way you can get stuff, you know, close to perfect is really studying it and thinking ahead of like, why do I have trash here? Or, you know, why is this film lifting a month later? How did I install that? How did I stretch it? You have to really be thinking ahead, but that takes a mindset in itself, is to think ahead. You have to prepare your mind like, all right, I want to be the best at this, or not just spray it, squeegee it out, hope for the best, and then when a mistake comes up, peel it off and not figure out why or what went wrong. You know, that takes a mindset in itself for somebody to really want to be good at that, because you do PPF or tint, you know, some people, I lose sleep over some stuff if I don't feel like it's, man, that speck of trash right there or whatever, you know, it just bothers you if you do this stuff. It So I would say the biggest thing with that is really honing and figuring out every minute detail from when you start your pattern or your kit or whatever you're using, and figure that out from there. Like, all right, I'm starting here. How do I get this set up perfectly to make the rest of it go? You know, there's some really minute details that I think people often forget, or they don't know because they just haven't been doing it enough. We had an install come back that we did a full body on a Raptor yesterday. We did that one about 7 years ago. And she came back. She had to replace a door. She got damaged. So we replaced the door. And the difference in our install methods from 7 years ago compared to what we do now, there's a big difference. You
Like
know,
what?
that's experience. That's, nobody's perfect from day one. It takes 7 years of experience to get
What
seven
things
years
were
of
different?
result. Edge wraps. The kits were different from 7 years ago too. Pre-cut kits from companies. We used a different company compared to what we use now. So the design patterns are different. Uh, Expectations are different from 7 years ago. So it really kind of showed like, all right, this is where we were at 7 years ago compared to now. How do you get to that? It takes 7 years. It doesn't, it's not something that just magically happens overnight. It just takes
Yeah.
time. You learn from your mistakes, things evolve, patterns get better, films get better, installers get better, companies get better. Um, so the biggest thing, the challenge that I see now, like with current employees is, and even myself, is sometimes I try to, we want the results that are going to happen from 5 years from now. We want them now, but you have to realize that it's not going to happen like that. It just sometimes things just take time to do it. So
Yeah. And that's okay, right?
yeah. I mean, you're not going to be able to. Yeah, you can speed up your process a little bit by doing lots of training and doing that, and that's great. But you're not going to be a great installer in 3 months. You'll be good, but 2 years from now, yeah, you'll be amazing if you really put in the effort to do it.
But you have to start now in order to
Yeah,
be able to get to where you will be at in 2 years. And so
yeah, yeah,
it's like figuring out how to set expectations to your customers with the skill level you're at now, right?
yeah,
And I don't know if that means charging a little bit less. Um, I've heard people go back and forth. Like now you need to charge more in the beginning because you're really going to make sure it's perfect before it leaves the shop. And then some people are like, "Oh no, charge less because you have less experience and that the result's not going to be quite as good as the shop that's been doing it for 20 years." I don't know.
yeah.
Where do you feel? How do you feel about that?
Um, so the first thing that I would say, like, if you're gonna start, like, I'll just say, if you're starting adding PPF to your business, I'll go from there. Is like, um, there's so much information now that you can find out on all these groups and YouTube as far as like um, expectations, or from an installer standpoint, like if we're gonna do what we call a custom coverage versus pre-cut kit. Um, Figure out how you're going to offer it to your customers and have it set up from like, all right, we're going to do pre-cut kit. I don't know if you're familiar with that,
Yeah.
but pre-cut kit and custom coverage is where we modify all the patterns, make them bigger to where we think we can get a wrap or where we can tuck the film so there's no less edges visible or less seams. But that requires, you have an experience to be able to read that bumper to where we can delete the pattern, the nodes in the pattern, and edit it to the way we want it. That takes time, and that you should be charging for that because that's a extra add-on that customers should be paying for it. If they don't want it, then give them a pre-cut kit. Explain what it may look like. We may not know because we didn't design every pattern. There's a company that does this, but basically we're going to load up the pattern, we're going to cut it, and we're going to install it the way it is. Or we can offer you a custom coverage, which will modify the pattern. We'll spend time making sure it's bigger in certain areas where we think we can get it. What that would mean is you won't notice any edges. Corners will be fully covered. Um, the body panel gaps where the bumper and fender meet, if there's a big enough gap, we'll tuck it in there and trim it so it doesn't lift. Um, so we charge extra for that stuff. It takes hours longer to do it, and we should be charging for it. If you're giving it away, you're not doing anything good for you or the industry by doing that. Or the person that's doing that doesn't know that yet because they don't have the experience that they should be charging more for this. They just kind of think it's the standard, and it's not. Um, you know, I would say get your plan together as far as what you're offering. Pre-cut kit, or are you going to do custom coverage? Setting the expectations to the customer from day one is really important. Have it laid out on, you know, whatever CRM you use, or if it's in your shop, have it on the board. Like, hey, we use pre-cut kits or custom coverage. How much you charge for that? You know, if it's a percentage more. I would start with that because we didn't, and it was a hard transition to get it set up years after PPF. So if I had to go back, I would probably detail my packages a little better on how I would price them accordingly based on the customer's expectations.
Yeah, and it's really easy to watch social media videos where everyone's removing every badge and tucking every edge, and like that's what looks cool, and like that's what the guys that are just getting into this they see.
Yeah.
And also often I think whether it's with detailing, ceramic coatings, or PPF, or any trade for that matter, like we automatically go there, and it's
Yeah.
like you fail to realize that like that job, one, it's being priced probably so high, if it's being priced appropriately, that there is such a limited number of people actually willing and able to pay that, or it's being priced low and there's so much wasted time on it that the hourly rate was like it's not sustainable, and no
Yeah.
one talks about that side of it.
Yeah. Yeah. But that takes experience to figure that stuff out too. Nobody knows that in the beginning. You know, um, most of us, including myself, I wasn't a entrepreneur. I was a hands-on guy that liked to put stuff on windows and make things better. Always working with my hand. I didn't use my brain very much. So, but it took 10 years to start using my brain and start thinking more of a business owner than an installer. Um, None of that, what you just said, is thought of from an installer. You're not. That's all hands and making things look nice, which is a great trait. But if you have a business, and start with your brain sooner than your hands. We can make these do kind of whatever we want, but up here it takes a lot of effort to get your brain figure out where you want it to go, what you want your business to look like, what you want your installs to look like, what you want your customers to see, when they look you up or when they have a conversation with you or your staff, what that looks like. So
Did that when did that transition start between the tradesman side of you versus like transitioning more towards like the business owner entrepreneur? Like, can you think of one thing that really made that switch, or was it more of a transition slowly?
um so I would say I did everything by myself for probably 5 years, mostly automotive tint, flat glass. And then when I started getting employees and had turnover employees, meaning, they'd work for a little bit and then leave, I would say that was probably a trigger to me that I wasn't, I could teach anybody to tint, but I wasn't a great, I guess, leader. Like, I can teach you how to tint, yes, but if I can't lead you and, help guide the company in the right direction, then basically I'm just still a tinner or a installer or a technician, if you want to call it. So I would say probably the thing that converted me more to that, and I'm still not, like, I still got a lot to learn. I'm not great by any means. I struggle with being a leader, that just wasn't me. I wasn't that person. I like to get my hands in there and put film on windows and put PPF in cars and not worry about the mental side of it. So, but employees getting older, family, kid, becoming more of an adult, you know, I would say that was probably a big thing, which was probably 10-ish years ago.
Yeah.
Not, and we're still struggling with stuff like that. It's not something that ever goes away. So, um, and I'm still learning, new things from following a bunch of people on the groups that have bigger businesses than we do, and trying to learn from them. Researching it, listening to videos, listening to podcasts from people that have something that interests me, a mentor that I would like to follow, you know, um, and match their business or match their ethics as far as what they do.
What do you think is your biggest struggle today when it comes to like leading your team?
Um, there's my biggest struggle would be I don't like being the center of attention. That comes from being a technician and installer. I put my headphones on, tint windows, and that I didn't have to make a lot of decisions. You start getting employees, um, things change. And if you like your employees and you care about your employees, you kind of care about them like family. So I worry about them at, when I'm not here, not worry about them like in a health standpoint, but now you're responsible for helping them grow.
Mm-hmm.
You're their leader. They work with you. They expect you to help them grow in a way, financially, mentally. So there's a lot of added stress, at least in my mind, with that. So I don't know. Can you repeat that question again? I may have got a little
No, yeah,
sidetracked.
I 100% agree and relate to that. But um, I noticed that I catch myself also doing the same thing, almost to like a detriment. And you have to be careful with thinking too much about. Um, I mean, yes, think about and care about your team,
Yeah.
absolutely, but also, you can't you can't get too caught up in um, other people without first thinking about like where do we really want to take this business as a whole, because I notice sometimes you start caring too much about the individuals and not about like, hey, like, are you even on the ship to begin with,
Right.
instead of like
Yeah.
everyone's in their own ship and I'm trying to keep everyone's ship afloat. Instead it's like, we all need to be on the same boat here. And like
Yeah.
some people, I think some employees, um they're just not on the same boat as you are, and you have to make a decision at some point and be like, hey, um I noticed that we're kind of sailing in separate directions here, and like, I want you to succeed, um, and grow, but like we've got to be rowing in the same direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And that's hard to find those individuals. And it took probably 4 or 5 years for me to weed through some employees, um, to learn like, hey, if somebody's coming here and they're not taking care of themselves or their car is a disaster, probably not going to enjoy it. They're not going to put out the effort that if they can't take care of their own stuff, they're not going to be able to do this well, because
sure.
this stuff requires you to be, 90% perfect. And your car needs to be taken care of. So if you're not taking your own care of your own car and you pull up here and it's dirty and gross, that tells me that you're probably not going to take care of our customers' cars. I could be totally wrong, but from my experience from hiring employees the last 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that until about 5 years ago, that you can tell right away if somebody's going to be good at this or not.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell that within a week. If they're not, don't continue to force it. Just start over. Don't waste
Yeah.
your time on it. Start over and find the right one. And we have two really good installers that had zero experience that came, and we trained them, and one's been with me for about 4 years and the other one's going on 3. And we're all in the same mindset. Um, Neither one of them has called in a day since they've started.
Wow.
Um, what does that tell me? I don't know if it's they see the work ethic from me, or they just obviously they have that. But
Hmm.
when you combine it with somebody that also has it, that's a good combination for a business to really like put out good work, have great expectations. Um, so it's a good combo, and it
Yeah.
took a while to get that. I mean, it's not something you're gonna find day one. It just goes back to the experience thing, man. Like it just takes 5 years to get 5 years of experience. You can try to rush it in a week, but there's going to be issues. There's going to be problems, and it just takes time. So
How are you? You have to have a lot of patience with those new guys. Like when you're hiring someone that doesn't have any experience with installing, and then you train them up, that requires a lot of patience. Like you've been there. So
yeah,
how do you deal with that? How do you deal with um, pushing them to get better, allowing time for them to like train, and then setting expectations for your customers,
yeah.
knowing that these people are working on the job?
Well, so it was different when I first hired, like the guy that's with me, Ryan. He's been with me just over 4 years. It was different when he came on. I was still installing. We had a full time office person answering the phone, which allowed me to focus more on installs, um, and being able to train without having to answer the phone and talk to customers as much. So it was different then, um, because I wasn't so much in figuring out how to grow the business. I was still trying to train somebody to allow me to go out and try to grow the business, right? Because you can't do both. You can't be an installer and grow the business. You can, but you're only going to grow so far, just for time. You just don't have enough time to do it. So when I trained Ryan, it was a it was a long process, but he physically had the ability to do it. He was good with his hands. Um, he understood like how things work, how things take apart. How you can take things apart and put them back together. Um, and that was an easier train than somebody that doesn't know how to use their hands or never used their hands before. I've trained guys like that too, and that's a hard train because they just don't understand how like things come apart, like how a door panel works. That helps you as an installer. If you know how to take apart a door panel, just mechanical stuff like that, it helps as an installer. So training Ryan was it was probably took about a year for him to really get confident and do some of your basic cars by yourself, and me not be there to help him. Took him a while to do it. Speed will come after you do it more, but the quality from the beginning was what I really wanted to set. Like, hey, this is what we need to make it look like. How do you do that? By specific techniques of putting the film in a certain way, how to flush out the water, how to prep the window. Um, that was about a year process, I would say. And, we're still learning today too. It's not just because he has it, he's not. We're still doing training like we did this morning. Like we're still doing training on some PPF. So it always learning. So
What'd that look like this morning? Like, what kind of training are you guys doing at this point?
so we had a customer drop off yesterday for PPF and coating. They're picking up Thursday, so we have plenty of time to do it. Um, it was kind of a random training. It was end of day yesterday. I knew we had the bumper and some trim pieces left to do on it. I was like, hey guys, you want to come in at 6:30? We can do some training before we open at 8. Thankfully, got a good crew. They're open to doing that. Right mindset, similar to us.
Yeah.
Um, they're open to doing that. So we came in, and me and Ryan took half, or Ryan took one half, and then I have another guy named JT. He's been with about 3 years. He's just starting to get into PPF. Me and JT took the other half, and we just sat there and put film on, and it was quiet. All we had was music on in the background, and we just talked about different techniques and, you know, the detail stuff of that I learned a few years ago that I wish I would have known year two. But again, it took me 7-10 years to learn that. So it's not something that happens just like that. So
Sure. That's cool.
yep.
Let's talk about sales a little bit. You guys have a full-time sales guy, right?
So not necessarily. We were trying to, it just didn't work out.
Why didn't it work out?
Um, so it's probably more, this is all going back to me. As a technician, hands-on kind of guy, you can't, can you find somebody to sell tint? Or can you find somebody that can sell? Yes. Can you find somebody that can sell what we do without having done it before? I don't know. I mean, maybe. So I feel like a good salesperson is somebody that can install and understand the product. But they're probably not a good salesperson. I'm not a good salesperson. I'm not a good talker. I'm working on it, but I'm not great at just strictly sales. I'm not. I'm good at installing. I'm good at training.
Why do you say you're not good at sales?
Um, because I'm pretty cut and dry. It's like I'm not.
Straightforward?
Yeah, and I think that's okay if you have an abundance of work that's just flowing to you, which we don't. Sales is hard right now. There's a lot of shops opening up. There's a lot of good shops in the area. It's getting more popular. So sales, what I mean by that is, say a customer came to me, say you came to me with a Porsche, and I'm going to say you should consider doing your full front or a track pack at a minimum. And I'm going to say we have a pre-cut kit and we have a custom coverage kit. And this is what it's going to look like. Here's the price for this. Here's the price for that. And I would kind of maybe give them some spiels about, hey, we've been doing this. I can tell you the difference between a custom coverage and a pre-cut kit and why you should choose one or the other. And that's probably where I'm going to leave it at. I don't think that's sales. That's just talking from an installer of this is what it's going to look like. I'm not touching on some key points as far as why they're coming to us. You know, obviously they want to protect their vehicle, but there's some deeper sales stuff that I've been trying to listen to and educate myself on. Getting in their mental state of why they came, what they should do, why they should choose us. That also takes a lot of effort too. So when you have, when you're like, for example, I'm training this morning, then to be a dedicated salesperson and be a manager and grow the business, that's a lot, right? That's a lot. So, and you can do them all kind of good, but you're not going to be great at all of them. Yeah. So that's the transition kind of where I'm at now is, trying to figure that out, like what we need to do. I've tried to hire a general manager that didn't have experience but was in sales in a different industry. It's hard coming into this industry and trying to sell this product if you've never used it. It really is. Unless you're like a real car guy and know about it, it's hard training a salesperson on this stuff because it's so niche. So it almost has to be within, I think. I really like the installer because they can answer a lot of questions about, hey, how we're going to install this a certain way. We're going to protect your car this way. This film's going to look like this because I've seen it 500 times. 20% is going to look like this. 15 is going to look like that. You should take your windshield with this. To where somebody that hasn't done that, it's hard to train somebody. Is it possible? Yeah. So, but that goes back to me I'm not great at that. So I'm struggling with that currently with my business now. It's like, all right, what do we do with that? Do we hire somebody within? Do we try to hire somebody outside? So not really sure on that aspect.
Yeah, man. I'm right there with you, brother. It's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, who does sales for you right now, though?
So combination of we have 3 office employees, 1 part time. That's 2 days a week. She was with me. Her name's Leanne. She was with me for 4 years. And then she had a baby, and now she's part time, so she's here 2 days a week. And we hired another person. Her name's Lori. She's here 3.5 days a week. And then my wife is also came on about 2 years ago with us too. So nobody had experience, so all that had to be trained on. I'm talking zero experience. So not knowing what tin is, they know what tin is, but they don't know what shades is. They don't know what ceramic. So so we got multiple hands going at it at once, which I don't really like. But something we're working on.
Yeah.
And it's, our market where we're at is, it's a different market. We're in a small town. So our numbers are, I don't know if we have the numbers to grow like extremely big here. Just don't have the population to do it. So we're having to have people try to get people from 30 or 45 minutes away to come to us, which is hard when they pass by 3 or 4 good shops on the way here. That's a hard sell to a customer when time is limited for them too. So we're trying to restructure, rethink how we're going about things right now, currently, based on our growth and where we're at currently with employees, who's committed with us. We're trying to think of some different ways about going about business. So,
Mm-hmm. Well, I was telling another detailer that I think a lot of success in sales has to do with laying the foundation beforehand.
yeah,
So, like, when someone fills out a lead form, what is their impression of your business? Like, how many times have they seen you? Because we all know that most people don't buy off on the first touch point. It takes sometimes 7, sometimes 20
yeah,
times of them seeing you or hearing about you. And like, there's a lot of nuance there. Like, not only did they see your Facebook page, but now they saw that a friend of theirs follows your Facebook page and they really trust and admire that friend. And that
yeah,
friend always has clean cars.
yeah,
And then when they clicked on your Facebook page and saw your ad, like everything on your Facebook page is like representing who you are and what you guys stand for. It's professional, it's educational, it's something that like you don't see anywhere else. Like when you go to all the other Facebook pages and Instagram pages, it looks generic. Whereas on yours, like there's something different. There's like really a connection. And I've been shocked at how many people have told me lately that I've watched every one of your videos. And I'm like, you look like my dad.
Gotcha.
My dad doesn't sit there on social media, and they're like, no,
Yeah.
I watched everyone. It's great.
Yeah.
It's super
Yeah.
educational.
That's awesome.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's surprising because I would have thought, and I think everyone else would probably think that like, well, that's probably not who's watching your videos. It's like, no, it's not true. They are because they tell me every day.
Gotcha.
And
Awesome.
so I think a lot of the success in sales has to do with the foundation that's laid before they even get you on the phone.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
we are just kind of getting into PPF, and we had a guy with the Ford Raptor that he said that he has seen some of our videos and was like willing and ready to spend money on a full front end PPF in high impact areas. Um, so I don't know, man. I just think that a lot of the success has to do with your content, your
I think
image,
our
your website,
connection
um,
might have got.
those things kind of laying the foundation.
I mean, obviously, first impression is huge. I think it's different depending on what that specific customer. Um, there's some customers that are just purely price. Doesn't matter. They don't care about what kind of quality you do. They don't care about warranties. They don't care about anything. They just want their car tinted, or we don't do detailing specifically, but I can imagine it's probably similar. Um, that they just want their windows tinted and they want the cheapest price they can get, compared to somebody that's doing PPF and is going to spend thousands of dollars. They're going to probably be a little more picky about what what they see on your website, or where they go. So I think you know having being prepared is a good thing. Meaning having your website right, making sure your pricing's accurate, making sure you're kind of ready for that phone call for tint pricing, based on the size of the car. However, having a price list on all that instead of just saying, "Oh, let me find out for you," being prepared and ready to go is a good thing. Um, but it also depends on what kind of way you're wanting to grow your business, too. Are you attracting higher ticket stuff, or are you just looking for numbers and keeping things simple and having a lower price? So um, that's about, not sure where else to go with that, but
I agree.
it's a tough one. Knowing what you want from the beginning is good. So,
Yeah. And
um,
constantly asking yourself that because I think what we wanted in the beginning is different than what we wanted now.
yeah,
I used to tell myself I never wanted to be at a shop. I'm like, I think we'll always be mobile,
yeah,
but yeah,
yeah, yeah. Well, that's growth and experience, and it takes years to figure that stuff out too. And things change, and you can't predict everything that you do in the next 5 years, but you should have a pretty good plan of where you want to go or what you want to see. You know, if it's numbers, second location, how many employees you want, what you can do within the market that you're in.
yeah,
Um, you know, that's kind of some things that we're working on currently that wasn't thought about 10 years ago. So
yeah. The book. You read the book Traction?
I have not.
It's a pretty
No.
good book, man. That
Okay.
and Rocket Fuel.
Okay.
They're both by Gino Whitman, and I believe that's the correct author.
Okay.
And they talk a lot about that, like creating your 10-year picture and your 3-year picture, and I think to add to that, while it's important to have like your vision board of like what you want, even like your quarterly goals. I mean, it talks about like what problems you guys are having. It talks about your team and like finding the right person, making sure that they're the right fit, and then putting them in the right seat. Um, all of that's great. And I think with
Yeah.
that would just be constant revaluation. And the book talks about this is like there's going to be stuff that comes up that maybe makes you change your mind a little bit about what your 10-year picture is, even what your 3-year picture is, or how you get there. And that's okay. It's like just constantly
Yeah.
spend some time like reevaluating.
Yeah. And I struggle with that too because, um, we want, I mean, it's human nature for us If we want it, we want it now type thing. And putting in the work to do it is different than just hoping for it. Obviously it's not going to happen if you just think about it and not, if you think about it every day, is different than putting things in place to work towards that goal versus just saying, oh, this is what I want, but then not having a plan how to get to that goal. That thinking about it and wishing for it isn't doing it. That's first step. Second step is putting things in place to get to that goal.
Yep. Yep. What do you think is the greatest opportunity that you guys need to work on or pursue right now?
Biggest opportunity, something we need to work on. So sales, being better salespeople. The reason is because of our market. If I had to do it over again, I would definitely try to open up in a higher populated area. Yes, it means more competition. I get all that. But we're in a small town and we've been here for 15 years. There's only so many people that can come to our small town. And once you tint somebody's car, unless they get a new car, you don't need to see them. Or if you tint their house, unless they get a new house, you're not going to see them again. So what I'm getting at is and I've been thinking about this for a while. I don't know if it's the right way to think or not, but it makes sense in my mind, is we have 20,000 people or 25,000 people. We've been here for 15 years. There's 2 other good shops in our town. How many people are going to tint their windows? Unless they get a new car or a new home, yes, they can refer people to you, but how many people there's not that many people in this area to do that. So our growth in our area is kind of capped based on the market that we're in, which goes back to being uneducated in where to open up a business. Not saying I don't believe in what we do and what we have here, but part of where we're at currently is, hey, is our market capped out based on what we can do with myself, 4 full-time employees in a population of this amount. What we're asking is for customers to drive 30 or 45 minutes. It's an inconvenience. If we've done something for them before, I believe they will drive. But new customers, unless you have a really good sales pitch and great conversation, there's not going to be many people that can drive that distance to tint their windows when they have to pass by somebody that's 5 minutes from their house. That's pretty good because there's a lot of good shops now too. So that's a business thing that we're working on, that we're not really sure which direction we're going to go, but we do know that our sales need to be better as far as how we can get new customers to come to us for the first time. If we have a customer, if you do something for them before, you probably know this, they're probably always going to come back to you unless you give them a reason not to. And, as long as your price is competitive, you do a good job, they're probably not even going to look anywhere else. So new customers, it's a different sale, different start.
Are you guys running any meta ads?
So we're not doing Meta, but we're doing Google AdWords. This is our first go around with Google AdWords, like professionally. We've tried to do them ourselves, but it was a disaster, just to save money because we couldn't pay a company to do it. So, and you want me to talk on that?
Sure.
Okay. So this is just my personal opinion on where we're at. Every market's different. We're in Deep South, more of a conservative area, and I'm talking about my market, not Charlotte, because Charlotte is completely different than Denver, North Carolina. People move out of Charlotte to come to Denver to get away from the hustle and bustle. So it's a different mindset here. So we don't have the population to support the growth that we want, I believe. So we tried Google AdWords to reach out to a little further distance to get people to come to us, which has been a challenge for the last 6 months or so. Quality of leads aren't that great. A lot of price shoppers, which is not, we've never been the cheapest. So if they're shopping for price, it's a tough sale for us because we've always put out really high quality work, and we've charged for it more than most shops in the area. So Google AdWords and where I'm at, or where we're at, is a lot of price shopping. I'm considering, we just had a conversation about it, maybe bringing in a less expensive film as our entry level product. And I'm talking a $40 difference, not a $100 difference from what like our starting price would be. Maybe just to get them in, and then we can upsell them on windshield or upgrade into ceramic or whatever. That's just specifically with Google AdWords. We've never had to work this hard on sales. Like, work has just been coming to us, and then all of a sudden in the last year or two, that's slowly trickled down with the current economy. Or I don't know. I don't know all that stuff, but things have changed the last couple of years that it's a harder sale now than it was before.
Man, I think it's really a lot to do with competition. I think that has a lot to do with it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think that it's become harder to stand out in the marketplace. Because there is a lot of people. I mean, we all know the joke of like, I just need a price. The customers that I just need a price,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we hate hearing that as installers, and as salespeople. We hate hearing that, and I get that all the time. It is a numbers game to some extent. Like I have people that say that, but then you also have people that are like, oh yeah, no, like my friend, my brother, they used you, they spoke really highly of you. Like they're not
Yeah.
shopping around at all.
Yeah.
Like they have
Yeah.
a problem, and someone they know used you, or like they did a lot of research online. Like you guys have the best reviews. Like you guys have incredible reviews. You almost have 500 reviews, which I mean, I can't imagine the second person around you, like competition wise, in a smaller town like you, probably
Yeah.
has significantly less reviews than you.
Yeah. I mean, so the competition thing is like, for example, we had a customer that we quoted, I think it was a BMW X5 or X7. He just wanted front bumper PPF. Okay. So front bumper, that was his quote, his call. I want quote PPF in my front bumper. Okay. So I'm a prepared guy. I'm already thinking, all right, so I'm trying to separate ourselves from competition. All right. So on that front bumper, you have the painted body color, and then you have trim pieces all on that car. There's black trim. There's probably, I don't know, 5 pieces that equate to an hour of work, at least hour and a half of prepping, installing, making sure it's fit, trimming, checking it after. So there's an extra, call it 2 hours of work just in trim pieces. Okay. So if a customer calls front bumper and they got a quote for $1,000 from another shop or whatever, does that include your trim pieces? I don't know. So that tells me either that shop that quoted it for him didn't take the time to explain that, but all that customer hears is $1,000. And then if we come in at $1,300 for the trim pieces, they're gonna be like, oh, well, they're this price. It's a hard sell when that comes up. So what I'm getting at is like starting your PPF journey, figure out your pricing, have it set from the beginning. Body color pieces are this price. If you have trim pieces, they're additional. Can't price that until you see a photo of it, just so we're all on the same page and make sure we're prepared and ready to go, so we give accurate pricing. But that all starts from the beginning. Whenever you're starting your even your tint too, like making sure, if you're charging for the big vent windows on the transit vans, because it's technically front windows, but are you charging extra for those, or is that part of your process or part of your pricing from the beginning? Having that set from the beginning would have helped us tremendously.
Yeah. I'll also say too that content has really helped with little things like that. And so what I've been doing with a lot of my sales is I've been thinking about common things that come up, like with that front bumper, and then I'll write it down and I'll create a YouTube video about it, like a longer form YouTube video. And then when someone brings up a similar issue to that similar vehicle, I'll be like, "Hey, let me send you a video. I worked on a similar car, or I worked on your exact car, even better. And
Yep.
we had this issue come up. Let me send you a video. It's a 10-minute video, and it's going to explain everything as far as like why we do what we do, why we charge what we charge, and
Yeah.
just some things to be aware of."
Yeah.
And when they're getting ready to spend $1,000, like what are the chances they're going to watch a 10-minute video? Probably pretty high. Not
Yeah.
everyone, but
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
if it's their car. If it's
Right.
their car, they just bought the dream car, they've been saving up for this, and you just send them a similar car, like they want to know. So
Yeah.
I think that can be really helpful.
No,
Um,
he brought that up. It's something that has been discussed. Question for you: is that something that you do, or is it a staff that does it?
I do
Right.
it personally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I would say
So
that you should probably be the one doing it too. I think you
yeah,
do good at it.
yeah, yeah. Um, you know, having the dedicated time to do it is figuring out like where we're at currently is like, all right, so who's doing that? Is that me? All right, what if I'm not here that day? Then who does it? Or if we're off on a job site doing something, then who does it? Right. So having a plan for that stuff is something that we're working on, like managing load of who's doing what happens if Steve's not here that day, or Steve's off on a job site with the guys doing the install. So then there has to be somebody on the back end that does it. So, you know, um, but we talked about that. We did do some maybe keeping a record of walk around videos of a F-150 with certain tint on the front windows, certain tint on the back windows, and the windshield tinted. And if we get a quote for F-150, we'd say, hey, here's a video of this F-150 that we did. This customer did this package. Here's what it could look like on your truck. You know, that's sales, I think, right? That's a
It
different way of
is.
going about business that other shops may not be doing. But that also takes a lot of effort to do it and a lot of labor,
It does.
which costs money for a business. Now, if you're doing it, it costs you money, right? Because our time is valuable too. Or if you have an employee doing it, that costs money too. So that's something to consider about fact, your pricing of how you're laying things out is
Yeah.
how much time does that cost? Or how much money does that cost based on the amount of time? So
Yeah, Lorraine, our virtual assistant, has been a blessing in regards to that with video editing and even just helping to kind of offset some of that. And then Blake as well, who works with me, he's done a really good job of helping with recording some of those things. So it helps having a team that is like on board and like they understand the importance of those things. And you're right, man. It is like balancing that load and getting the job done. It's like first priority, we need to get the job done and we need to make sure the customer's happy. And we've got to call the leads tomorrow so that we actually have appointments, and then we can manage doing the videos.
right.
But you do have
Hey,
to plan it out to some extent.
can I ask you a question on the VA thing? How's that work? Like, I mean, how's that work with your day to day operations? Like, obviously, virtual, she's not there, right? I'm
Yeah, she's
assuming.
in the Philippines.
Okay. So,
So what we do is um, we meet every Tuesday and we kind of go over our content for the week. I record videos throughout the week and I upload them into Google Drive, and then I just upload the raw clips, and then she edits them and compiles them into a video. And so she adds the text on screen and any kind of music, it just trims it up. And she just like all your installers took about a year to really like learn and get good at it. She's still learning,
Yeah.
but she's figured out. I think we've starting to figure out a rhythm of like
Okay.
what kind of content we want and trying to post every single day, and not just post, but post content that is interesting, educational for our customers. That
Gotcha.
they think about us as the authority in our space, so that whenever they do buy a new car, it may not be this year, it may be in 3 years, but we're the guys that they call. And even though
Gotcha.
we're higher than everyone else, it's like they trust us. They're like, I don't even need to shop around. Like, you guys have got my business because I've been watching you for 3 years and you guys know
Gotcha.
what you're talking about. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think that she's done a really good job of just, and she comes up with some ideas too. I mean, we had 200 applications when we submitted it. We hired on jobs.ph, I think, like filipinojobs.com. If you search that up, you'll find it. And we had 200 applications, and we interviewed like 10 people. It's like 7 or 10 people. And she was the one that stood out. Like, she could critically think. She was extremely smart. She cared. She was really passionate about it. You could tell she wanted it. And so I was like, I know that even though you don't have everything you need right now to be great at it, like you have the foundation, and so we can train for this. And so she does all the editing, comes up with ideas now.
That's
Um,
awesome. Very cool.
so
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
well, Steve, I know we've been going for quite a while, so I'll probably let you go. I'll be respectful of your time, but man, this has been great. I really appreciate you
Yeah.
coming on and just sharing some of the things you guys are going with in your story, and
Yeah.
it's been cool.
No, appreciate you inviting me to do it. So I sorry if I went off on a couple of tangents that kind of went off the rails, but you
That's what
know,
it's about, man.
yeah, it's it's a process, and still working on ours, trying to figure out exactly where we want to go. But it changes with you know time too. Based on current conditions of the markets and where we're at and employees, and so just try to stick to a plan, figure out a way to get there, and don't deviate from it unless something drastically changes.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, man, for coming on.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time,
Yeah.
and
Thank you.
you're welcome. Yep. Thanks, everyone, for listening.